Hello, everybody. Welcome to Redefining Entrepreneurship. I am one of your hosts, Lori, and this is my other fabulous host today, Mira. And just making sure that we are live here. So let's just give me a little second here. Hold on. If you're there, let us know. If you're here live, let us know. Of course, say hi. Let us know where you're joining from. Okay, I think we're live. And if you're watching a replay, obviously, that means that we were actually live, so you don't need to let us know that. But please still do go ahead and say hello and let us know that you're watching the replay. Okay, here we go. We are definitely live. And I know that there is a better way to do this, but that's what we're doing. Okay, so how's everybody doing? How you doing today? How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good.
Here today. So I think we start this with a little bit of how you doing, everybody? And again, if you're here, if you're watching the replay, let us know, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Because we're going to be talking about that a little bit today.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that a lot today because it's something that's not always talked about. And in fact, I have had two conversations already this morning with colleagues and clients about how they're doing in general, how they're doing not just in business but in life. It can be tough times. It can be lonely to have a business out there. It can bring a lot of feels. It can bring a lot of things up, especially when we have a lot going on personally and we're pulled in this direction, and then we need to run our business, and then we need to do this, and then it just compounds all of that stuff. And so honestly, think to yourself, and if we would love it if you would drop it in here, whether you're live or you're watching this in the replay, like, how are you doing today? Really, how are you doing? Check in with yourself. Yeah. It's an important conversation to have because we're going to talk a little bit about self-care and what that actually is. I think self-care is thought about in different ways, but we're going to talk about what it should comprise of for you.
Yeah, and I just want to interrupt here too, because I think it's so important too to really note the impact that it has on your overall success. And that's a big part of why we're talking about it, right? Because we're talking about entrepreneurship, but when you do it the wrong way, right, you are not just like hurting yourself in your life, but you're also hurting your momentum, your ability to maintain and sustain the success that you've been building.
Well, I'm going to challenge you for a second on that one, because I don't think it's a wrong way. I think it's you haven't figured out the right way.
You're right. You're right. You're doing it. You're not doing it the right way for you. There you go.
Yeah. And you're doing good things, right? You're doing really good things to try to take care of yourself, and we can't discount any of that. But sometimes we need different things at different parts in our journey, and so especially as women, not to exclude you gentlemen, but especially with women, we're pulled between family obligations, but we have this vision, we have this mission, like we're super passionate about building our business, right? And probably making more money, or whatever that vision of success looks like for you, whether it's just to live comfortably, whether it's to make 8 figures, whether it's whatever that looks like for you. Like, we're pulled in that direction, and there's so many balls we juggle over here. But then we may need to be there for our kids, be there for our partners and our spouses, be there for our parents, like especially our generation. Like, it's both, you're juggling parents and you're juggling children. And it's a heavy time sometimes, just in general, in the world, like there's just a lot to juggle. But what happens is, and I'm seeing it more and more, especially this year, the more you're pulled in multiple different directions and you don't address things, or the more that you don't identify things that you personally need to deal with, it affects your business. Absolutely 100%. And sometimes it's not quite as obvious. Sometimes we may think it's a marketing problem. Sometimes we may think it's a sales problem, or I just need to figure out how to operate my business better. And we can do all of those things. But then you do all of those things and it's like, but there's something else that's missing. Like, I don't think this is a strategy problem. Like, I'm doing all the things. What is happening? I'm not making progress over here. I feel like I'm pulled over here. I don't feel like I'm winning really anywhere. But I want this balance. I want to be able to grow my business and I want to be able to have the life that I want. What's missing? And what is missing at that point in time is really taking care of yourself. And we're going to talk about it more in a minute, but identifying that is the missing piece. That is why we were taking a select group of female CEOs and entrepreneurs to Bali in November to really get some clarity and to really work on themselves, and really dive deep into the self-care that they need to get the clarity and then to be able to move themselves forward in their business and in their life, which is what they want. So we're going to get more into that as we continue the conversation. But if this is identifying, like if this is resonating with anyone, like I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels, but I'm doing all the right things. The missing key is the right self-care for you. And it doesn't always look like, and I'm dominating this conversation. Jump in anytime. It doesn't always look like.
I think you've got lots of feels around this, so that's okay.
A lot. Like, I'm very, very passionate about this. And I know you are too. So I'll shut up in just a minute. But it doesn't always look like bubble baths once a week. And it does, while those are phenomenal, don't get me wrong, I put an extra special tub in when I redid my bathroom so I could take my bubble baths. It doesn't always look like getting that massage once a month. They're great. They're relaxing. I get them. But sometimes that's not the self-care that we're talking about. Those are great to keep relaxed and to keep stress levels down. But sometimes there's a whole deeper level to self-care that we need to identify and we need to get to. So I'll pass it along and stop dominating the conversation.
Okay, yes. I mean, I agree with everything that you said. And I think that, you said something earlier on that was important to just pull out. I think, well, first of all, yes, I want to just, like, before I go into that, this is what we are doing in Bali, with the mastermind that we're running there. And you said something around, it looks different at different stages, and where depending on where you are, and that's something that's not necessarily talked about. So I know for myself, and a lot of my clients now, I tend to serve a client who's a little further along, but when I was earlier on in my business, I was serving a lot of really new entrepreneurs, and what they needed, what self-care looked like for them was different, and what it looked like for me in the beginning, so I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna meditate and I'll walk and I'll do these things, and that was enough, because when you're first starting out, you're in a little bit of the sunshine and rainbow phase, right? Of like, it's really exciting. Everything is new. It's exciting. You've got the whole future in front of you. But then you get into your business and you have different layers and levels of stress. And, that those of you who are here, that's who we're talking to, really. But you have a team, right? You're making more money. There's more responsibility. You have higher level clients that are paying you way more money than they were, 3, 5, 10 years ago. You have a lot more pressure on your plate. And it also affects your own, like, your energetic being, and how you show up in the world as you have more stress in your life, as you have more responsibilities. You're judging yourself more, you're questioning yourself more, you are shaming yourself more for not being in certain places, not being at a certain level yet, not hitting certain milestones, or I'm making all this money and I did this, I quit my really successful career to do this, and I'm making more money, and on the surface I'm successful, but like my schedule's fucking relentless. I can't, there's no time, there's no room for growth, let alone taking self-care, because right now you're pulling from your self-care time that may not even be the right self-care in order to run your business, in order to schedule appointments, run, jump on that next flight, go to that next event, whatever it is that you are doing, you're at a different level than you were in the beginning. So the things that are necessary for you are going to be different. Like, just, yes, you do need probably meditation, but it's not just listening to, the Headspace app, like you might have a few years ago. And I don't know if anyone else did Headspace, but it's like going deeper into like the art of surrender, and like really going deep into meditation potentially, or it's doing different things, or it's recognizing that the things that you're stressed about that are in your way right now aren't the same as what they were then. So what used to work for you may no longer work. Positive affirmations aren't enough anymore. They might have been in the beginning, right? But it's not anymore. So I think it's important to, so yes, going back to what you said when you challenged me, it's not that you are doing it wrong, which I'll challenge you a little bit. You are doing it wrong, but you're doing it wrong for you. It's not like there's one right way. There absolutely is not. What works for me isn't going to work for Mara, right? What works for us, it might not work for you. What works for, talking about our retreat, one person on our retreat isn't going to work for another. That's why it's so important to really understand at all levels of your business what you need for you. And self-care, that might look like hiring the OBM that you have no idea how you're going to fucking afford, or it might look like hiring a female embodiment coach, right? That is going to support you in a different way than a business coach has in the past. There's all sorts of things that could be considered self-care that you may or may not be recognizing. But you're right, what you were talking about. Now I'm the one like stealing all the talking time here, but you're right, in everything that you said. And it's not saying don't take a bath or get a massage. It's just saying, like, is that what you really need, or is there something additional, or is it just what you're doing isn't the right way to do that for what you actually need right now? But it is going to be detrimental if you don't address these things, if you don't address these feelings, because it isn't. My guess for many of you, especially again, if you're at that 6 and 7 figure point already and you've had a lot of success, you're making money, is that this is not a strategy thing. You've had success, you know what the fuck you're doing. You feel confident in your ability to make money, or at least you did. Maybe you've wobbled a little bit because you're dealing with some things that are causing you to question that, but you're confident in that. It's not about that. It is about you finding this balance. It is about so much more than strategy. It's about you figuring out what you need in order to really have this business work for you, and not repeating mistakes of the past, not, getting yourself back into things that maybe you were doing in your corporate career before you set out to start this in the first place. So I'll shut up now if you have stuff to say.
I have plenty to say.
Shut each other up so we can talk here.
I have plenty to say on this. No, I just want to expand on that a little bit, because it's great then, to talk about finding the right things for you and then being able to do self-care. But like, how does that show up for you sometimes? Sometimes it's just this knowledge that there's like this missing piece that you can't quite find and you can't quite grasp, and it's something else, that it's not a strategy problem, but it's like this, but what is missing? And kind of that's where you start. That's what Lori and I kind of help you sort through and figure out, is what is that missing piece. In different levels and different phases that you go through, it's there can be stuff when you start building a business and get pulled multiple directions. There can be things from childhood that come up that you don't even know are there. You don't even know that they're holding you back. You don't even know that that's a cause of you procrastinating on a particular project, or not being able to keep a boundary here, or giving in here, or there's, it sounds bad, but at this point, the missing key is you. the missing key is work on yourself, and self-care can be self-development, can be therapy, can be getting to the bottom of things that are coming up that we don't even know what they are, but they're subconsciously holding us back, right? But if you look at the landscape, there's so many different options on how to do that. You have to kind of have a starting point, and you have to be able to explore what's going to be that right combination for you. And that can be where Lori and I come in. And if you're like, but I know I need to hire this person, like you mentioned the OBM that I don't know how I can afford, and I know I need to do this and things like that, you're holding yourself back. But that's also what we specialize in, helping you figure out how you're holding yourself back. And then I help you put in structurally what's needed. But I first help you find the hidden money in your business, and then how to strategically spend it to make it, and then invest it.
Yeah.
And
I
that
have to get to the bottom of the shit that's stopping you so that you can do all this.
Exactly. Like her, she's amazing at helping you get to the bottom. I mean, I'm just saying, worked with her personally. You don't even realize sometimes what's holding you back. But if you just have that knowledge that there's something else and there's something else missing, that something else is you.
It is. And I want to interrupt you just if I can, because I know you said like that might sound bad before, but as something that I also want to be clear on is part of the reason why I hope you're watching these, episodes with us is because we do tell it to you straight, and it is you. And that's not saying like you're bad and, anything, but it's saying that no matter how much you invest in your strategy and your methods and ads or anything else, it can't fix that problem. And it's not saying that you have to heal all your childhood wounds in order to make money and get back on the track and in order to enjoy your life. No, but it is saying that self-care, true self-care, is respecting yourself enough to know that it is deeper, that it isn't going to be something you can slap a Band-Aid on and that you need to get to the bottom of, because otherwise it will either eventually you'll just like plateau. You won't let yourself go further because you don't feel like you can even take more on at that point, or you might lead yourself into burnout. And if you're doing the right things, burnout isn't really a thing. And that some people might push back and be like, well, fuck you, it is. And I'm not saying you can't burn out, but if you're doing the right things, you are not going to allow yourself to get to that level. So it's saying that the awareness, the clarity of really determining what is going on for you and what needs to shift and change is the next level. Like that's you going to your next level. That is the secret to being a next level leader, to really truly having the success, having the money that you desire, but also having the life that you envision when you quit your freaking job in the first place, because otherwise you've just recreated what you left, and you are going to probably resent it way more because it has way more personal stuff aligned with it, where at least in a job you could like blame it on your boss and everything else, but this is all you. So just wanted to interrupt that. Sorry.
No, you're fine. We're obviously both passionate about this subject. Is Lori just doesn't help you have success in your business like we do. We both have you or help you grow and have success in your business, but our lives aren't just about our business, right? Our lives encompass our personal life, and we all have this picture, whether we want to imagine it or not. Even when we have these big passion projects and these businesses and we want to do all the things and we have all the ideas and they're great, but there's also this other component to our life, and we've been conditioned to see it's hustle mentality, and to get anywhere ahead, you're just going to have to hustle, and you're going to have to sacrifice, and you're going to have to, give up things in order to have this over here. And I say bullshit, because that is the old school way of doing things. It doesn't have to be like we run such busy lives and there's so many things we want to be a part of. But what I will say to that is it does require getting really down deep to what is the priority of the priority for you. Like getting very, very clear on what you want to include in your life, what you don't want to include in your life, and then upholding those boundaries and then putting the things in place to allow you to have that. So it can feel a little uncomfortable sometimes to really get down to the nitty gritty. However, it may feel uncomfortable to start to explore it, and it feels like we're giving up something, or you might uncover that you're people pleasing, or you might uncover that you're doing this out of fear or not doing this out of fear. So it can be a little bit of an uncomfortable process. But what I will say is the clarity and the confidence. Yeah, the clarity and the confidence and the growth that comes out of the other end when you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this is it. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly my boundary. I know exactly what I'm going to tolerate. I know exactly what I'm not going to tolerate. Decisions get real easy at that point. Really easy. And it makes not only decision making, but then growing in your life and growing in your business very easy. But you've got to do the work in order to get there. And that's the work that is also included in self-care and self-development that is not always talked about. There's the buzzwords of mindset that go around, and there's the buzzwords of
energy. Honestly,
thank you. Energy and things like, and it's all involved, right? They're all pieces of this work, but it has to kind of combine all of them. But it starts with really getting to the core of you, what's holding you back, and what your priorities are.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with pretty much all of that, I think. I can't. I am not going to argue with anything that you just said, but I think that it is important to really understand what this means for you. And going back to what you were saying about boundaries, I think that this is one, like, if we're giving you like a takeaway, like this is the first. Well, yeah, that's the first one. I have a process, but I'm not going to like take you all through all of that. But like really understanding first, what are the boundaries that you are trying to uphold, and where are you not actually upholding them? And I know you said like this is going to be really uncomfortable, and it is. So I encourage you to do that work, and you have to be honest with yourself. And sometimes those boundaries aren't what you necessarily think. It might be something like this is a big one that I see, especially with women who are in like already very successful in their business, is that they're taking on the wrong clients, for instance, and that is a big one. And you don't necessarily, again, going back to the like when you first start out, how it's different. You would never have said, I can't take that person. They're the wrong client. Like that's just no. Like in the beginning, you're like, oh my God, I just want anybody, money, client, right? You just like want it all to come in. Mm-hmm. But as you grow, you're going to start to recognize that, going back to one of our buzzwords there, but like your energy is directly tied into your work. If you were in a passion, like driven business where like your business is about you and some stuff that you really, really love, especially, you are going to find that it gets really tricky as you grow, and working with the wrong clients might mean like you really love that person. And trust me, I've had this, and I've had some over the last year, like where I really, really love those clients, and I think that they're wonderful people. So it's not like they're horrible, that they're bad, but either you've evolved, and it might be that they haven't evolved along with you. So the things that are now relevant for them are no longer relevant for where you are in your journey. Like if the things that you're helping them with, like I'll use something like, for instance, a lot of you, I'm going to talk to business coaches and like marketing people, because there's a ton of you out there, right? And you used to maybe talk, and I went through this a little bit, I was very pro marketing because I had a 15 years of sales and marketing experience, and that was the way in the corporate world that it was done, and I don't like to say feminine versus bro, whatever, but for just terms of everybody understanding that bro marketing, that was what I came from, and a lot of people are. So like for me, as I was teaching and working with clients, I was evolving away from that mentality and that way of doing business. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of things about bro marketing that work. There really, truly is. But I was still had clients in my world that were still very aligned with a different way of marketing themselves. And as you know, I wanted to evolve, so I found it very difficult to like work with a client that's just like, but no, I know if I just do this funnel and that funnel and this funnel and that funnel, it'll work. And it might, right? But they weren't wanting to do that deeper mindset work, that deeper work. They weren't wanting to do this work that we're talking about. So it was very frustrating for me to get on calls with them and to say like, okay, did you do those things that we talked about? And it's like, well, no, but I built this new funnel. You know? So that's just like one example in terms of like working with the wrong client. Now, sometimes it can be much more transparent than that, where they're just whining and complaining and they're an energy drain. But I think for most of you, a lot of times it's just starting to realize that there's a level of frustration as you grow, and that self-care would be, you know, recognizing that boundary around, I don't want to work with people who make me feel this way, who make me feel frustrated. That's the boundary. And the self-care would say, okay, like, what do I actually need to do to change that? And sure, you can say, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to deep breathe and whatever to just deal with the frustration and the stress. Or you can, you know, like Mary, you do a lot of the work with human design and running your business. You can go back to your human design and recognize it's literally like going completely against your strategy and your authority and all of those things to actually work with them. And frustration is like a problem. And if you don't fix the frustration, like that's your work, that's your self-care. Because otherwise, you can try all the tricks and the breathing and the meditation that you want, but it's never going to fix that problem, ever.
Correct. Yeah. It's, you know, back to the human design piece. Like I've been talking to a lot of clients lately. And again, it's the theme of, I love what I do. There's parts that I love better. Okay, that's going to be a red flag to me that we need to reevaluate where you're spending your time in your business. Like we're not 100% aligned, but it's this drain. It's I don't feel like I can step away. I don't feel, you know, they want the life that they want, and they want you know, the business. They want to do what they love, but it's how do you do the work? How do you know what you need to do to get back to you? And it could be a combination of, and I'll tell you for me alone, and some of the comprehensive work that I do with other folks, and including Lori, and I know Lori works with some other folks as well, but comprehensive between going and doing the deeper work, supporting it with the right structure, which is kind of where I come in, health and fitness, you know, making sure we're physically taking care of our bodies. And that doesn't mean you have to throw in 5 workouts a week and 50 walks and stress yourself over and like have to count macro. But it's, again, it's that what's the right way for you to build in prioritizing you. Honestly, for me, I've gone through different iterations. I'm a former bodybuilder, former personal trainer. Like it was a priority to me until it wasn't. You know, you get stuck in that, but I got to make this happen. But then how am I supposed to make this happen? And so you're stuck, and you feel like you're stuck in your business. And then you're trying to find the time to do you again, instead of finding the time to do you again. And then literally keeping that boundary as you grow. I guarantee you're going to grow quicker. You know, I went DEFCON 5 on my calendar at one point, and it was like, nope, move, reschedule, cancel. Not for me. Move it. And just created a whole lot more space. And I immediately felt better. And I dropped 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Who would equate your calendar with not being able to lose weight? And no, I wasn't working out. Yes, I had my nutrition in check, but I wasn't working out. I wasn't even really walking.
Mm-hmm.
But I created the space and I prioritized me.
Yeah.
And that's when things happen. you lose weight, money comes in overnight. I know it sounds weird. Money can come in over vacations. Like when you are doing the least and actually prioritizing you, Lori, you've had clients, Jamie was just on here multiple times sharing her experiences. I've had it. When you step away, which is a fearful thing, like it's tough to do, things start happening when you start taking care of you and prioritizing you. And no, it's not just the bubble bath, but it's getting really deep to where you need to spend your time, how you need to spend your time, how much of that time needs to be for you and for other people and for your work, etc. The more you start to put all of those pieces together, the easier the entire picture becomes. And that's what we're trying to, we're inviting a select few female entrepreneurs that really want this mix in their life. They've had the success in business, but they're kind of feeling the heaviness. Like there's a missing piece, right? They've maybe deprioritized themselves for one reason or another. We all do it. And it's okay, but let's work to reprioritize you. So let's start to figure out what that is. What do you need to do to take care of you? What do we need to put in place to make that a priority? And then we're going to help you begin to create a plan to keep that in place starting right then. And you can start a new life and a new path forward in your business. So we are taking a select few to Bali, and we'd love to have you join us.
Yes, absolutely. And our background here is Bali. It's beautiful. Yes. And the work that we're going to do there is completely, it's just going to transform your life, your business, your health, all of it. Because as you were talking about, it is holistic. And I know you mentioned that I'm doing more of like the integrative stuff as well, just in my coaching. And that's what we've really brought into this experience is that integrative approach so that you are hitting things at all levels. You are figuring out what is necessary and needed for you to help you move into that next level easily and effortlessly so that you can expand, so you can enjoy your life. And while you expand your business and grow, that you still allow the spaciousness to enjoy your life and make more money as it happens. So that is the focus of that mastermind in Bali. That is the focus of ultimately the work that both of us do, just from different sides of the coin. So please reach out to us if any of what we've said today resonates with you. And again, just really saying it's not about you doing it the wrong way. It is about you not knowing what you need for yourself because you're at a new level. You're in a new place. You're in new territory, and you don't have to navigate that alone. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd love to have you join us. But hopefully if any of this resonates or reach out to us in general, whether you join us in Bali or this resonates and you're like, I don't even know where to start. That's cool. We'll help you figure out where you need to start and what direction you need to head so you don't have to feel confused or lost or overwhelmed anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be back. I don't even remember when our next one is scheduled. But this was our second one this month. So we'll be back in July for our next one of these episodes. And I don't remember what we decide we're talking about. So we'll surprise you in July. But we might have an extra, well, it's more of a surprise for us, but a surprise in our second one of the month for next month. So do stay tuned.
We might. You never know. So, yeah.
But yes, please do reach out, connect, and let us know here in the comments too if anything that we've said has resonated with you. And I hope you all have a fabulous day. And we will talk soon.